For this video, we're going to talk about the ADHD habit system and what actually works. If you have ADHD, you don't fail because of your habits, because you don't care. Often we fail because we get advice that was not designed for our brain. All these fancy morning routines, habit trackers, planners, David Goggins motivation, discipline. It might work for a week or two, then life gets in the way, and then we collapse and we lose that goal. That's where shame can creep in. Today we're going to break down a system that's worked for me, that's not magic or anything, but helps you be consistent. This system helped me stay fit, manage my ADHD, be a present dad, reduce being overwhelmed, and stop constantly failing. It's not a theory, this is what actually works. Why habits fail with ADHD. ADHD doesn't fail habits, habits have failed ADHD. Most habit systems assume that you have stable motivation, delayed gratification, great memory, emotional regulation, and consistent energy. If you want to know more about motivation, I just did a whole video on that. But the ADHD brain struggles with task initiation, transitions, time blindness, perfectionism, and being emotionally overwhelmed. So when a habit system requires remembering, being motivated, staying consistent, and doing things in order, that's when it collapses. Personal story for collapsing from me. So getting out of college, I started to try and work out and I could not get in any consistent routine. I did not find a good routine until I honestly got married and we found a gym that we both went to a few times a week. Other things I failed at when setting goals for, or habits for, is like stretching. I used to do this program called ROMWOD where I would stretch for 20 to 30 minutes every night. And I did that for a month at a time, and then I'd stop and start. I could never fully get it down. A new thing I'm trying to work on is being more consistent with date nights at home. Okay, and scheduling them out. Now with all the apps out there, you can schedule reservations for dinner. So it's freaking awesome. Another thing I've failed at is running consistently. Again, I'll go on months of doing good and then I just completely stop it. The thing that changed everything is I stopped using habits as motivation or with motivation, and I started building structure about what I wanted to accomplish. That means I realized I'm not relying on how I feel, not relying on motivation, remembering everything. And I need habits to work on days where it's considered a bad day or just not a great day. When everything isn't going 100%. When we have plans in the evening that I didn't expect. So we gotta ask the question, what can interfere with this habit? And what are the first steps? Third question we need to ask ourselves is, how will I know this is working? If we can ask these 3 questions and answer them for our habits, we can get a better grasp on it, especially for the future. The system for successful ADHD habits for success. The first thing is we gotta find anchor habits, okay? Anchor habits are non-negotiable behaviors that we do that stabilize everything else in our day. My personal ones, I track my steps, I track my workouts, I track the books I read a month, I track the MMA classes I go to a month, sometimes I track my running, I track my cold plunges. Tracking anchor habits helps so much because it works, because they regulate dopamine, they reduce feeling overwhelmed, and they create momentum and they ground us during the chaotic days. Anchor habits don't need motivation, don't require perfection, and can happen even on bad days. For example, if I only got in 6,000 steps because something came up in the evening something came up in the morning and I wasn't able to walk the dog and get my extra 3,000 to 5,000 steps in the morning, that's okay, because there's another day. Okay, the goal is to create good days. Second part is, what is the minimal effective dose to get this habit going? With ADHD, big goals get overwhelming and they can trigger avoidance. So if you intentionally make them smaller habits or smaller ways to do them, you can be more successful, which will help build momentum. Okay? This is that something is better than nothing. So if I read one chapter a day, only 10 pages, that's fine, even though I didn't read half the book like my coworker can and did. If I eat one healthy lunch and one healthy meal that I prepped, that's better than me spending money and not eating something healthy. Okay? We want to ask ourselves, did I show up? If you did, that's the win. Okay? Removing the paralysis by analysis. It takes pressure and shame off of us if we don't meet a big goal. Okay, and it helps us build momentum when we accomplish all these little goals. Consistency explodes when expectations are managed and our ego is dropped. Okay, this is a hard part, especially for us guys. Dropping our ego and being okay with it, even if it's not what we expect. The next thing is we need to visually track what we're doing, our progress. If you can't see it, it doesn't exist. Okay? As a therapist, my college professor used to always say, if you don't document it, it didn't happen. ADHD brains need visual feedback, streaks, progress cues. I've already talked about things I've tracked, but I track workouts, steps, cold plunging, nutrition, most months. Okay, and we can do this multiple different ways, through your Apple Watch, through your Notes app, habit trackers, whiteboards. Okay, the key is to track them. The fourth thing is we gotta design the environment for success. Okay, stop asking, how can I be more disciplined, and struggling when I can't get started, and ask, how can I make it easier to succeed? Okay, as you can see, I'm filming in my garage gym. It makes it a lot easier to work out for me and my wife, and even my kids, when we just have to walk down the steps and come into the garage to work out, or work out in the driveway. Okay, it's removing the barrier of having to drive for 15 to 20 minutes to get to the gym. Okay, other things, packing your gym bag, meal prepping your lunch before you get to work. Okay, and your environment removes decision fatigue. The final part of this is we want to have an identity over emotions. Stop saying, I don't feel motivated, and start saying, I'm an athlete. I'm the fittest dad in the neighborhood. I take care of myself. Your identity creates consistency when emotions are going to fluctuate. Again, your identity creates consistency when emotions fluctuate. Okay, so how can this look in real life? We want to go through our schedule and find what will work in the good days, the bad days, days with chaos, having sick kids, missing workouts, family obligation. You want a system that bends without breaking. Consistency doesn't mean being perfect. It means returning faster. Okay, this is part of the reset rule. Okay, you might have heard this before, is you don't want to miss things twice. I don't want to have 2 unhealthy meals in a row. I don't want to miss 2 days of working out in a row. One bad day isn't going to matter in the grand scheme of things, but 2 and 3 can become a pattern. The reset rule removes guilt and builds momentum. This system works because it removes reliance on motivation, reduces friction, increases dopamine, supports executive function, allows flexibility, and protects self-trust. It works with ADHD and not against it. Final thoughts. If you failed in your habits before, hear this. You're not a failure. You didn't fail. The systems did. You don't need to be more disciplined. You don't need better support. Start today with anchoring one habit. Stop relying on motivation. Remove ego and start creating better days. If you like this type of content, like and subscribe. I'm doing new videos every week. I'll be posting these to shorts as well, 2 times a week. Remember, ADHD doesn't mean you can't be consistent. It just means your consistency may look different than other people.